Hi everyone, hope you got on okay with the blind tasting pack. This is time to find out who is the better taster in your house. We are going to start off with wine number 1. First thing we're going to look at here is our color of the wine. And this is medium and it is gold. So you can see that color goes all the way to the rim of the glass, and even here on the video here you can see that it's got a nice kind of golden hue to it. The next thing we want to look at, but before I go on, I should say that white wine, golden color, a really interesting tell. Normally going to be a sign that there could be some oak aging in here. That kind of means from our perspective, blind tasting wise, we could maybe remove some grape varieties at this point. It's probably not a Pinot Grigio. It's potentially not a Sauvignon Blanc or a Riesling. Again, we can confirm that oak aging thing on the nose. With our aroma intensity, I'm about here. So this is what I would call medium, chin height. Medium aroma intensity in a wine. Again, this can tell us that Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc, super aromatic grape varieties. So it's probably not one of those. Something like a Pinot Grigio is going to be really delicate. So we're going to have to get our nose right in there. In terms of the aroma characteristics themselves, for white wine we have 4 categories. We've got green fruit, apple and pears, citrus fruit, lemons and limes, stone fruit, peaches and apricots, and tropical fruit, so mango and pineapple. This has definitely got stone fruit. This has definitely got tropical fruit. It's maybe got a wee bit of lemon. The stone fruit is peachy. The tropical fruit here is pineapple-y. There's also signs of what we call secondary aromas. So this is like wine-making techniques in play here. There is a little bit of creaminess, which is normally a sign of malolactic conversion. There's a little bit of a sign of oak as well. So there's like a nice kind of soft vanilla note. Kind of get like that almost brioche style. You give this one a taste. I need to find a spittoon. Spittoon mug will do. So first thing we're going to look at here is the acidity. How much does it make our mouth water? This wine has medium acidity, medium body, quite pronounced flavor intensity. And the flavors are as we described on the palate, I think. Little bit of lemon, lots of really nice juicy peach, lots of pineapple, little bit of kind of creamy vanilla, oak and malolactic at the end. The finish on this is nice and long, which is normally the sign of a good quality wine. With the flavor profile as well, with that peach and that pineapple, another good thing we could work out here is that peach and pineapple, so stone fruit and tropical fruit, tend to be associated with moderate to warm climates more than they do cold climates. So I can probably say this doesn't come from a cold climate, but I can also say that like the peach and the pineapple still feel like actual versions of the fruit. So they're not like dried or stewed or overripe. And that to me would give me the indication this is a moderate climate. Because if we had this particular wine from a really, really hot climate, our mango might taste like dried mango, or our pineapple might feel like stewed or kind of jammy pineapple, if that makes sense. So moderate climate is where I'm going to say this wine comes from. Obviously, I know where this wine comes from, but you get the point. Finish is long, flavors are as we said they are, so we've now got to work out what we've got here. So I think the main giveaway here is that this is a white wine that's gone through oak aging. Not all white wines do that. Realistically, if we were put together a list of common styles of wine, the main guy that jumps out here is going to be Chardonnay. We could also throw in Chenin Blanc if we wanted to. And if you got down to either one of those two, excellent job. This is a Chardonnay. Now, that's great if we've got there, but we've also got that lovely problem that Chardonnay is produced all over the world. And so if we wanted to narrow it down further, we'd have to look at that climate. It's not a cold climate as we described, so we can rule out places like here in the UK. It's not a hot climate, so we can rule out Australia, we can rule out California. We're looking for a moderate climate. The safe bet here would be Burgundy. And again, if you've said Burgundy, you've done really, really good. This is our Saint Veran, a really lovely wine we've had in the shop for a while. This comes from kind of just south in the Mâcon, so the good value part of Burgundy as I describe it. And Saint Veran is a village right next door to Pouilly-Fuissé, the kind of the hero of the region. So I would say if you got that it was oaky white wine, like a Chenin or a Chardonnay, brilliant. If you got confident enough to go for a Burgundy, absolutely incredible job. Let's move on to wine number 2. Wine number 2. Wine number 2 is deep and it is ruby. It is just starting to show a little bit of garnet at the edge. Garnet is normally a sign of wines that have had more access to oxygen. And that could be that the wine is older, or could be that the wine's gone through extensive oak. Could be a combination of both, if we're being honest. It is also deep in color. So again, playing the wine detective game, it can't be a Pinot Noir, can't be a Gamay or a Grenache. It's probably not a Nebbiolo. That deeper color, I would automatically start thinking of things like Malbec, Cab Sauv, Syrahs, maybe a Merlot. Again, we can rule these things out when we taste it. But at the moment, that's where my mind would be. Aroma intensity. This is quite aromatic. It's not like pronounced. If medium plus was an option, I would say medium plus. For red wines, we don't have the 4 characteristics. We just have red fruit, we have black fruit. And this is more of that black fruit characteristic. So a little bit of plum and cherry, but we're probably more into that deeper kind of bramble blackberry note. There is definitely more to this wine than just primary fruit characteristics though. There is a distinctive kind of spicy note. So the top of my nose here kind of tickles a wee bit, which is a sign of spice for me. That could be spice from the grape variety. That could be spice from the oak. There is definitely that kind of smoky cigar box oak characteristic at all. So I'm fairly confident this wine has gone through a good amount of oak. And I'd also say that this wine has signs of tertiary, which is signs of age. And it's coming across a little bit is kind of earthy, slightly meaty style in a way. Yeah. So a wine that's got primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas in it. Let's give this wine a wee taste. We're going to think about acidity, and we're going to think about tannin. So this wine has high acidity, really makes our mouth water, medium level of tannin. So I can feel the tannin, and the way I always measure it is to do with my teeth, and I can feel this on not quite my back teeth. I can feel it quite far back though. I would also say that the tannins are quite soft and sandy and velvety. Now again, that's a sign that this wine's probably aged a little bit. That's also probably going to tell me a little bit about the grape variety used. So Nebbiolo, which we know this is not, has really big, intense tannins. Cab Sauv has really grippy tannins. They're quite, even when they're mellowed with age, they're still quite pronounced and in your face. Whereas something like a Merlot can have soft, velvety tannins. So that would be a strong possibility at the moment for that. Body on this is full. Alcohol on this is medium. The flavor intensity on here is maybe medium plus. It's not fully pronounced, but it is a big flavoursome wine. And all the flavors that we talked about are there. We've still got that brighter style of red and black fruit. There's a little bit of red fruit in here. It's more like plum, cherry, a little bit of bramble almost. And then we move on to spiciness, toastiness from oak. I think the spiciness could be from both oak and the grape variety, which we'll get to in a second. And mellow signs of age, leathery, meaty, earthy characteristics. So, what could this one be? I think that the thing that I would look at here is there's probably good indicators to say that this wine is not Cab Sauv. The tannins on this are a bit medium when they would normally be high. The flavor, like the aroma and the flavor intensity, are a bit more muted. The tannin structure here is different. I would say that the color is not deep enough to be a Malbec. I would say that it's more intense than a Merlot. So we've kind of ruled out some bits and pieces here. This, I'm going to be honest, this would be a difficult one to place. I would find this difficult. I think probably what's best here is to tell you what we've got. This is one of my favorite wines. This is a Shiraz from the Rhone Valley. Fairly classical for the Rhone Valley, but I'd argue a lot of us don't drink these wines anywhere near as much as we should. So there's 100% Syrah or Shiraz, depending on your outlook on life. And the key giveaway here was that spiciness. That spiciness wasn't just from oak, that was something inherent in the grape variety that we get more so with Syrah from France than Shiraz from Australia. Again, the fact that this wine had a bit of age, this is 2019, and we got that slightly meaty note shining through, that's a kind of classic Syrah thing as well. To be honest, if you had got Syrah or Shiraz even in the mix here, that's awesome, because this is a difficult one. When our wines get more aged and mellow like this, they start to become harder to pick out the kind of go-ahead characteristic. So, let's see how we got on with wine number 3. Wine number 3 is deep ruby again. The fact that this wine doesn't have that garnet color that we saw on the Shiraz or the Syrah last time would indicate to me that this wine is young. That deep color, again, I can probably with a high degree of confidence get rid of Pinot Noir, Beaujolais, Grenache, Nebbiolo here. Because it doesn't have that garnet color, I could probably say goodbye to things like Chianti. For a classic Argentine Malbec, or Malbec in general, I would expect it to be inky black, and this is not. So we've ruled some things out already. Aroma intensity, this is pronounced. I can smell this from here already. Now again, we can look through some of our classic grape varieties and we can say Cab Sauv is normally quite pronounced. Merlot is quite medium. Syrah can be medium, as we found out last time. The fruit characteristic here is still black fruit. Again, we'd expect that for wine of this color, to be black fruit over red fruit. What we can say though is that the black fruit is very ripe. So it's like black currant, but it's more like Ribena or cassis than it is fresh black currants. There is also a really subtle kind of freshness here. It's coming across, to me, a little bit eucalyptusy or a bit minty, but it could even come across a bit like green capsicums. There is signs of oak here, and it's coming across very polished, very kind of vanilla and coconut. Vanilla and coconut to me is normally a really good sign that the oak we are dealing with is American oak rather than French oak. And so in a very general way, I can almost rule out France from that. The climate is kind of a good indicator here. The fact that we've got that ripeness of fruit, I'm probably leaning towards somewhere hot already. So I'm thinking Spain, I'm thinking Australia, California, maybe inland South Africa, certain parts of Argentina, maybe. This wine is high acid, high tannin, and again, those tannins have got a really nice grip to them. It's maybe not the sort of thing you want in a wine when you're drinking it just by itself, but with food, excellent. As a result, the body here is full. The alcohol here is just off of full, so kind of medium plus. The flavor intensity here is very pronounced. The finish here is nice and long, and those flavors are as we described them. Very ripe blackcurrant, very subtle kind of eucalyptus and mint note, polished vanilla and coconut from the oak. I'm not seeing a huge amount of those tertiary notes here, which is going to give me the indication this wine is, relatively speaking, young, and that tracks with those kind of bigger style of tannins. We've kind of been building up to it, but this is a Cab Sav. It's got all the classic things, the blackcurrant, the high, and those grippy tannins. What we now need to work out is where this wine comes from. Now, I've told you that we could probably rule out France here. This is a bit too, I guess, vibrant for France. The downside here is that we could easily be in South Africa or Australia or California. We're less likely to be in New Zealand. We could, in theory, be in Chile. We're less likely to be in Argentina. If you got down to any of those wines, you would have done great. Any of those places could produce a wine of this style. What we've got here is Xanadu from Margaret River. Margaret River, brilliant place in the world for wine, in particular for nice big Cab Savs like this. It's a Mediterranean style of climate, but we get that riper fruit concentration. So this is still a big wine, but it's not as big as some of the places we get from like Napa or something like that. That's the blind tasting, guys. I hope you had fun. This is meant to be a bit of a laugh at the end of the day, and hopefully I haven't caused too many arguments at home about who's the better taster. If you've enjoyed this and you'd like to do it again, let me know.